Welcome to the Uriah Jokes Podcast, a podcast with Uriah, who goes fishing for laughter and approval from strangers, and that's what makes it a comedy podcast. But hey, it's great for you all to be tuning in to the Monday edition of the Uriah Jokes Podcast. Unless you're listening to it on a Tuesday, then if you didn't even know about the Monday edition, this means it's actually the Tuesday edition. But hey, nothing like a nice intro like that. Me, I'm out in LA. I'm also out in Santa Barbara as well. I'm kind of splitting my time in between both locations. I've been lucky enough to be selected to be on the new team of a restaurant that's my friends are opening up called Validation Ale, which means I continue to increase my productivity in terms of making food, which makes me make jokes about making food. They're like, Uriah, you work at a restaurant? Yes, I do. I guess I solve hunger for a living. Everyone's like, hey, Uriah, you gotta give back. I give back every day. I solve hunger and a place to go to the bathroom. Hey, they say don't shit where you eat. Well, actually, you can shit where you eat. That's called a restaurant. What the hell? I got some jokes. And I got some bad news. As you know, if you do follow my Instagram, I decided to share personal information about my Catalytic Converter being stolen. It only took it being stolen twice for me to realize it's not Catalytic Converter, it's Catalytic Converter. And what I know is that I have a Prius that is saving the environment, but also costing me thousands of dollars. So you know what? I'm getting a different type of car because, you know what? I don't care as much about the environment as I think I did. I don't. And it's like, hey, Uriah, you got to be more socially conscious about your carbon footprint. You're just making me feel socially conscious about the size of my shoe. But hey, I got jokes here. I got something else I'm going to do. I'm in LA right now, and because I need to get around to do mics, I spent a couple days just writing. I'm like, I got to do some mics. So I did 3 mics today, and I rode there on a bird scooter. It took me 12 minutes. It normally takes me 12 minutes to drive in my Prius, which basically means my Prius and a bird scooter are on the same playing field. How about that? My boss came up to me and said, hey, Uriah, you can't fall asleep at your desk. Well, then wake me up, because this is a nightmare. Trying to increase my following, right? I like, if this was the 90s and you're like, hey, I'm trying to increase my following, everyone would be like, oh, you're starting a cult. Cults are really hot nowadays. Then if you said you're trying to increase your following in the early 2000s, someone would have been like, what the hell, you starting a cult? You know, people don't start cults anymore. And then now you're trying to increase your following because you're trying to get that blue check mark, which means you're the almighty influencer, which means you are a cult leader. That's right. Hey, but me, I don't do all that. I try to increase my following. I just go outside when the sun's out, because that way I'm always increasing my following. As long as the sun gets blocked off by the clouds and then my shadow's no longer there, and another cloud comes back, goes away, boom, increase my following. I got a shadow, and I don't got a shadow of doubt that you're like, Uriah, how did your mind even think about that? Well, someone said I'm trying to increase my following, and I'm like, okay, how would you actually do that to make it funny? Hey. A friend of mine, he renewed his vows. Now if he ever gets divorced, he's going to owe her everything. It's a mathematical joke for you guys. Hey. I got last one here. My parents were very odd. They're normal, just divorced. Talk about odd. It's funny, they were like, hey, you take Uriah on the weekends. And you take Uriah on the weekends. And you take Uriah. And I have to be like, guys, how about neither of you take me on the weekends? And they're like, we didn't know that was possible. Well, it's not possible. Drop me off at the movie theater. And then, when I grew up, I won't be going to movies alone. By going to movies alone, I mean there's people there. I'm just in the bushes. And hey, this has been the Uriah Jokes Podcast. New episodes when I put them up, and new episodes when I also don't put them up. But also, if you're like Uriah, why didn't you post? If you haven't seen all my videos, go back to them, and they're new. I'm creating new content because there's new people, and new people containing molecules of content is exactly what is a content creator, which makes everyone who's trying to be a content creator and create content and evolving, everyone's just trying to be a god. How about that? Everyone's just trying to be a god out here, but no one's following the right god. And the right god is your shadow. That's right. Because if you always live in your shadow, you're never, ever disappointed. I should be a philosopher. Hey, how about that? And I've been Uriah, and this has been my podcast.